The Kansas City Chiefs are going to be taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and suddenly, after Sunday's results, the stakes to this game are much, much bigger than they had been just a couple days ago. We'll get into that in a moment. This is things to watch as the Chiefs take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And here we get into just that storyline. Guys, the Chiefs started the season 0-2, and everyone was writing them off. Everyone said that the season was over. Everyone said that the dynasty was over. Everyone said that Patrick Mahomes was over. And maybe bad news, the Broncos beat the Eagles yesterday. There are no more undefeated teams in the NFL, and the Broncos were one of the teams that thrust that finishing sword through the 17-0 hopes of one of those undefeated teams yesterday. So the Broncos really are, in my opinion, a contender for the AFC West. But the Chargers lost to the Commanders 27-10. And that means that should the Chiefs win this game, they would be 3-2 on the season. And that means that they would be tied with the Broncos and Chargers at 3-2 for the lead in the division. The Chargers would hold a half-game advantage because they beat the Chiefs head-to-head, but the Chiefs and the Chargers still play again, meaning that, essentially, after starting the season 0-2, by the end of Week 5, should the Kansas City Chiefs win, their destiny will once again be in their own hands. From 0-2 to controlling their destiny in 3 weeks. Have to win the game, but that is a big, big, big motivator. That is an extreme change in pace for what this game means than what we thought it was going to mean just a couple of days ago. Also, the Bills lost. So, a win would put the Chiefs 1 game back of the number 1 spot in the AFC as well, currently held by both the Bills and the Colts. Now, it's Week 5, right? There's a lot of time for everything to go wonky, for everything to go haywire again, but after starting 0-2, it is nearly inconceivable, and yes, I know what that word means, that the Kansas City Chiefs would, 3 short weeks later, be controlling their own destiny in the AFC West, especially when they started 0-2 and everyone else started 2-0. I believe everyone else started 2-0. At least the Broncos and Chargers started 2-0. I can't remember if the Raiders did or not. The second thing worth watching here. So, I don't think that, on the whole, this game is very exciting from a headlines point of view. I think that this game is extremely exciting, suddenly, for the ramifications on the playoffs already. But I think if you're looking at these two teams, the Kansas City Chiefs should win this game. I talked yesterday in the One Thing to Win video about how everyone's going to be saying that these Jaguars are 3-1. These Jaguars have turned over opposing quarterbacks a lot. But these Jaguars have not faced very good teams. And these Jaguars have faced less than Patrick Mahomes type quarterbacks. They even faced the 49ers' second best quarterback, Brock Purdy. So, a lot of the stuff that I think is worth watching, just sort of from a fan point of view here, right? If you're looking at the large picture with the Kansas City Chiefs, a lot of the things worth watching here are almost middle of the story questions. So for example, can we see the offense continue to improve? I don't really know that it's worth asking specific questions about the offense in this game, because I don't think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have to add too many wrinkles in this game. What I mean by that is that I don't think the Jaguars are a pretty decent team. I don't mean to come out here and say that they're not. But I don't see too many things that the Jaguars do extremely well. They force turnovers against Brock Purdy and against CJ Stroud. I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, say what you want about it, but they haven't faced Patrick Mahomes. They haven't faced the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that this is going to be a pretty vanilla presentation from the Kansas City Chiefs. So if we do see them to continue to improve, it would mean that they are improving simply through execution, not through unique and inspiring game planning. No, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll roll out there with all sorts of new things. Andy Reid will once in a while do that just to put things on tape so other teams have to spend time practicing them. But I don't think that's going to be the case here. Mahomes threw for 4 touchdowns last week, but he still didn't crack 300 yards. After watching Mac Jones and Matthew Stafford both go over 340 in a game against each other, I'm kind of getting tired of the humdrum. I want to see a fireworks show. Xavier is listed as questionable, and both Juju Smith-Schuster and Hollywood Brown popped up on the injury report, but all 3 of them were full participants on Saturday, right? So, man, oh man, did the offense look good, look pretty, complete last week, even without Rashee Rice. This is week 5, next week is week 6, and then we get to throw a Rashee Rice return party. So, if the offense does look, if Patrick Mahomes throws for 303 touchdowns, not 303 touchdowns, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, then we can really start to bank on the fact that this offense is going to return to form, 5,000-yard Mahomes form this season. Mahomes, right now, is on pace to throw for, I believe it is, 3,990 yards, which is confounding considering that's pretty much what he did last year, and last year didn't feel anywhere near as exciting as this season has so far. A couple bad games this year, but a couple good games as well. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, Omar Norman-Lott is listed as questionable, and this might be a bit of a confounding talking point for a what to watch video, but this might be a what not to watch point. He is listed as questionable and did not participate in practice on Saturday. Now, Omar Norman-Lott has been a particularly disruptive pass rusher in the middle of the defense, might not be accumulating all of the stats, but he's been a very active role player there, and if you look at the PFF stuff, he has really graded out fairly well for a rookie who missed the preseason and missed a couple of games so far this year. Is it worth watching? It would be nice to have him against the Jaguars. Is it worth risking aggravating whatever injury it is that he is nursing in order to have him now when you know later in the season you're going to be facing the Bills? You're going to be facing the Chargers and have to get that win back. You're going to be facing all of these teams. The Lions. You're going to face the Lions soon. So is it worth risking him aggravating that injury when you would rather have him later? I'm not sure. Guys, you want to win all the football games you can as early as you can. But Andy Reid has been perhaps notoriously sensitive to his players' injuries. And remember, the year that Tyreek injured his collarbone, we didn't see Tyreek Hill, after that point, run a slant route until the playoffs. So, just worth keeping in mind. Last week, the next point here, last week gave us Jawaan Taylor's best performance of the year, and arguably Josh Simmons' worst performance of the year, at least if you're looking at grades. Meanwhile, last week, Kingsley Suamataia graded out at an 88.2 pass blocking grade. So it will be interesting to see if this up and down sort of roller coaster that we're on with the offense so this is a roller coaster, right? The roller coaster's always planted on the ground, no matter how high the peak goes, no matter how low the valley goes. It's always planted on the ground. Can we see the roller coaster of this offensive line go from on the ground to on a hill? If we can see constantly higher valleys, this could be, and I know I've said this going all the way back to when Josh Simmons was drafted, this could be one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. They have the talent to do that. If Kingsley Suamataia is all of a sudden going to be grading out at 88.2 in the pass blocking department, then yeah, things are going to get real pretty real quick. If Jawaan Taylor is all of a sudden going to stop drawing 3 flags per game, yeah, things could get pretty good. If Josh Simmons' highs can be higher and his lows can be higher, this offensive line can be elite. It is worth seeing if they put together a couple of pretty good performances in a row. The number 5 thing worth watching here is this. Is this the week that Brashard Smith takes off? On the screen now, I have his stat sheet for the season. Against the Chargers, he did absolutely nothing. The next week against the Eagles, he had 1 carry for 2 yards and 1 reception for 0 yards. Not much of an improvement, but 2 touches and 2 yards is more than 0 touches, 0 yards. The next week against the Giants, he carried the ball twice for 13 yards, a 6.5-yard average, and had a target. Oh, I'm sorry, he did not have a reception versus the Eagles. He had a target. But against the Giants, he had a target as well, and again, no receptions. But last week, we started to see a little bit more action for the dynamic rookie. He had 4 carries for 9 yards, which is a paltry 2.3-yard average, but he had 4 targets, 3 receptions, and 27 yards, including a 17-yard long that he really looked as if he were this far from breaking that off for a Jerick McKinnon-like impressive touchdown reception. So, is this the week that the Kansas City Chiefs finally give Brashard Smith 5 carries and 5 targets? It would just be 1 more carry and 1 more target than last week. Could it be the game they finally give him 10 carries and 8 targets? Really get him involved in the game plan. I think that might be something necessary if we want to see this offense take the next step. Right now, no one has to respect any of the Chiefs running backs when they're on the field. If they're in the backfield, who cares if they get the carry? They're going for 3.5 yards. If that running back is lined up wide, all right, go ahead and put Kareem Hunt on a 5-yard out route. Go ahead and make Isaiah Pacheco run a wheel route. No one believes that they're going to get the reception. So right now, having a running back on the field for the Kansas City Chiefs is less advantageous than just throwing another wide receiver out there. No one fears the run anyway. If Brashard Smith can maybe break a couple of runs, and I believe it was last week. It might have been against the Giants. I'm having trouble remembering. But there was one play where he took a handoff and he cut back all the way against the line to the backside of the run and was tackled immediately. But he was tackled by a blitzing cornerback. So if you go back and you watch that play, he made the right read. The offensive line was not getting any push. The cutback lane was there, if not for that blitzing cornerback. So I think that he does have the vision that Isaiah Pacheco lacks. He does have the speed that Kareem Hunt lacks. And we saw last week on that reception, he has the balance that Kareem Hunt has, which is the balance that Isaiah Pacheco lacks. So it will be interesting to see if we finally start to see a little bit more action for Brashard Smith. And the last thing that I have here, yesterday I talked about the one thing necessary to win this game was stopping Travis Etienne. Do the Chiefs have the linebackers to do it? And I think that is a more interesting question than you would expect me to ask, considering how often I praise the linebackers stopping the run. But the one place that the linebackers seem to have problems, if it's a big power back, like any of the big power backs they've faced, really, they're pretty good at stopping that. Nick Bolton gets right up into the running lane and is able to smack somebody hard enough to hold them up. And then they swarm to the ball. They have that type of rapport on the defense that Nick Bolton can hit somebody head up and another linebacker makes the tackle. Speed backs, it's a little more iffy, but the guys that really tear apart this defense, if you pay attention to it, is guys with decent size, which Travis Etienne is 5'10", 215, and pretty good speed as well. Travis Etienne, I believe, runs a 4.45 40-yard dash. So this is exactly the type of back that oftentimes gives the Kansas City Chiefs linebackers problems. If they can hold him to a moderate game, and he has a couple monster games this year and a couple mediocre games this year. If they can hold him to a mediocre game, I think the Chiefs absolutely win this game, and it might not take through the third quarter to figure that much out. That is what I have in this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.